though, because I've actually been right now, but I just want to finish this thought. All day today, and I get this frequently, but today has been like extra, is everything has been, today is the 22nd day of the month, which I didn't realize. And every time I looked at my clock, it was like 11:11 or whatever time. And then and it was just getting funny. Like I was actually laughing because every time I looked, there was some kind of number and it was a multiple of 11. And I was like, okay, so what we're doing today is a good idea. Everyone that's just kind of tuning in, I was just saying there's a fruit fly. And I just, without thinking, just like swatted it out of my face. And then I felt bad because my mom says that whenever she feels like my grandma around, like her mom, there's a fruit fly flying around. And without thinking, it was like, boom. So I was like, sorry, grandma. Anyway, so I'm just going to make sure, I'm not even in the group here. Let's make sure this is all.
I love this Be Live thing. Like I had done it one time and I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't really like it. But like the way that we're doing this is very cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Okay, perfect. So it's working in the group. So I just wanted to chat a little bit for anyone that's not familiar. Like, I guess there's gonna be people who aren't familiar with me. There's gonna be people who aren't familiar with you. But I'll start with you, Ariel. So Ariel and I met, I feel like our coach was the first person who felt called to introduce us. And so then we kind of connected via email or Facebook. I don't really remember, but then we hopped on a phone call once. And that was awesome. It was just really comfortable right away. And then we were meeting, I think a few weeks later in New York in person. And that's when I just feel like I fell in love with you, Ariel, and we connected like we were old friends or sisters even. And we spent that whole weekend together, that time at the mastermind that we went to in New York. And we've kept really connected ever since. Not necessarily talking every day, but I feel very connected. And but we haven't had, like for purposes of today, we didn't know we were going to be doing this until a couple days ago, but we haven't been talking a lot since you had your baby Francis. So because I was thinking, I'm like, well, this work because we know each other, and I know you'll address this too, and even though we know each other and we're connected, we're not really up to date with exactly what's been going on in my life or how I feel or anything about my business right now. So it's kind of cool that we know each other, but we're not at this particular time totally caught up with everything. So I'm really excited for today. What I've noticed about you, Ariel, and what I want to share with everyone watching is, and I don't even know if I've told you this, Ariel, but the first time when our coach was like, oh, you should check out Ariel. I think you'd really love her. I think you guys would get along so well. I went to your website and it was, I thought, and I'm going by memory of maybe like a year ago now, but I thought it had a bit more of a spiritual flair to it. And then I feel like we connected, and then I went back to your website another time and it was more like a technical, like business strategies and things. I thought, oh, that's odd, or I, pivoted or, felt called to do something different.
In the back of your mind, you were like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, she's doing that.
Well, I just knew that I really resonated with the original website and everything that you were saying. But I was like, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel called to do, awesome. But recently, and I'm talking like in the last week or two, especially, I don't know what's happened. But like, I feel like I noticed it brewing towards the end of your pregnancy. But then you had Francis, your little baby girl. Is she with us?
Yeah.
She's sleeping.
Hold on. Let me see if I can show you her.
How old is she now?
Wait, I can't even see her. Can you see her?
I can see her. Hi, Francis.
She's like, hi.
Oh my gosh, she waved. So yeah. How old is she?
She's 6 weeks old.
6 weeks. Oh my gosh. So I felt it was like brewing, and then you had Francis, and then ever since then, it's just been like, what you've been posting, the things you've been putting in your group, and let's share the name of your group. What is the exact name of your group?
The name of my group is called Spiritual Entrepreneurs, Channels, and Mediums.
Yeah, and you, thank goodness you added me because I love it. I love every single woman in there. I love the messages that you're sharing. They're so on point. They're so powerful. They're like, I almost want to call them these little like razor blades of like truth and power. And I'm like, whoa, like I needed that. And it's really powerful. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, this girl needs to come into my group because I know the women in my group would really, really stand to benefit from the truth that you're sharing, the power that you're standing in, your gifts. You're absolutely amazing. And I'm so grateful that you're here and you're spending this time with us today.
You're just so complimentary. I can't even handle it.
Aww.
Well, I'm excited that you brought me in. And when you told me, I was like, oh my God, like in my mind, it was like two things. I was like, that's the best thing ever. And like, oh my God, this is terrifying. So I was like, yeah, we definitely have to do it. Cause I mean, you know, I have a boot camp where there's women in it and we just like, you know, roll with it and it's all intuitive and it's great, but nothing like, you know, public like this. And especially you, because I have always seen you as this, like, you know, maybe you don't know, but like this just angel, like, just walking around, like just spreading all this light wherever you go. And so you know, my initial like fear thought was, what the hell do I have to share with her? You know, what could possibly happen? So I'm just really excited too.
Wow. I think it's so cool that you're bringing that to light because, it's funny how you perceive someone and how you perceive yourself. Like perception is just so like mystifying, but I mean, I feel like I walk around in constant confusion. So it's funny that you're like, what could I possibly tell her? And I'm like, oh my gosh, will somebody just give me the answers? What am I supposed to do next? Like, what exactly am I supposed to be doing right now? And I feel like I just move forward with like my best guess, but I don't feel like I'm certain. So it's funny that you say that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So, I do have the baby here, so I might have to pick her up at one point.
Yep. Yep. Whatever you need.
Everybody knows. Let's see. Also, the way we're doing this today is Jen has some questions for me, and then we're going to roll with that. And, but I initially was going to send her questions this morning, and then I was like up a few times last night and whatever excuses. The cleaning lady was here and my friend came, and then all of a sudden it was like 12:30 and I was like, oh, I forgot. So normally how it would work was I would send like, you know, the client or whoever, like a thing. Then I'd fill it out. And one of the ways that I work is I'm able to kind of read through the lines, if you will, of what they've written, and then can kind of really piece things together and see what's under that. And then kind of we go from there. So that's why here I just said, Jen, just give me some questions. Let's roll with it. And yeah, and let's rock it out. Cool. I feel like there's something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. You just took my breath away with your introduction of eating.
I wanted to say it was so funny because when you messaged me like, oh, sorry, I didn't send you those questions. It was the exact moment that I was like logging in to see if you had sent me the questions. It was like, boom, sorry, I didn't send them. I was like, what? How did you even know that I was looking for them?
Oh, you know what I was going to say?
Yeah.
That Spirit has been around me as well with the cardinals that I've experienced. And then just this morning, my husband, who kind of like, he sticks his like 2 big toes in the spirit water because it's hereditary for him. I can address that if you want to, but anyway, it's hereditary for him because his mamacita, he's Cuban, his mamacita was very spiritual and could see spirits and all that kind of stuff. So she's an incredibly powerful spirit, and she will actually, I've seen her, she's done it with his mom and done it with him, but she'll come through with electricity, which I've never actually like known a spirit and then they've crossed over and then that's happened before. So it's very cool. And it just happened yesterday when the baby and Nick were at his grandfather's house. The baby started getting fussy. He just told me this morning. He was like, oh, I need to tell you this. Baby started getting fussy. Baby was like in her car seat on the table. All of a sudden him and his grandfather are talking and there's this giant light, like this weird, like hanging old school, like lamp thing in their living room. It just went on randomly. And his grandfather's like, what the hell? And he like looks around and the baby, as soon as the light went on, the baby got calm.
Wow. I love it.
And my husband's been so like, not worried, but it's come up a few times of I hope that she got to meet her. I wish she would have gotten to meet her. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff. He loved his grandmother so much. So really cool. It's really cool. Coming around, all the grandmas.
And how long has this been happening for you?
What?
Like how long have you sort of known that spirit was around you, or that you were connected to something that maybe not everyone could see? That like.
Oh, yeah. Since I was like 7 years old. That's when I consciously knew that it was going on. But the thing that I'll say is, and the thing that I'm talking about now with like clients and people, and is basically there's spirit, where you connect to spirit, you know, and that's like people who've crossed over. And that's a particular gift that some people have, is that they can, you know, connect with people who've crossed over. And sometimes it'll come in different ways. So for some people, they may, you know, hear something. Some people may see something, whatever. But some people who feel that they don't really have that connection to people who've crossed over, they may just get like, you know, they may get signs via pennies on the ground. They may get signs via fruit flies, like you were talking about earlier.
Cool.
And so that's a completely different thing from what I'm really encouraging people to do with my work, which is be completely connected to your truth and intuition, meaning you are a spirit living in a human body. So you're not, right now we're not wanting, like, you know, you or anyone who's watching, to create a separation between their own spirit and something else. So like a lot of times you hear people say, you know, I connected with spirit. You know, I was asking spirit. Oh, somebody says it's frozen for her. Is it frozen for you? Just want to make sure. Can you see it? I'm refreshing, but it's taking a minute.
It's showing okay on mine. Yep, and Jennifer Dodge says it's working for her. Brittany says it's working for her.
Perfect. Cool. So, there's people who can connect with people who've crossed over, and then there's, you know, everyone who has the gift of connecting to their own intuition. And so, the thing that I'm really encouraging people to know is that you don't have to like do a meditation or do a bunch of things. Like you don't have to do a bunch of stuff to get connected. You already are, because you're a spirit walking around in a human body, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I love that.
So it's not like I'm some kind of magical unicorn and like other people don't have their own gifts. It's just that these are mine and I am aware of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yes, I've been seeing and sensing spirit since I was 7 years old.
And when you say spirit, you're talking about people who actually have crossed over.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I'm going to say a quick hi to everyone, and then we'll get started if that sounds good.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So anyone that's watching, let us know you're here. So just say hi in the comments so we know that you're here and you're enjoying this experience with us. So I just want to say a quick hi to Brittany and Giselle, Lucy, Quinn, Talia, Cindy, another Quinn, Jennifer, Kim. Yay, Kim Hines is here. Portia, Eva, Nikki, Peggy, Cindy. Awesome. Oh, I'm so happy you ladies are here. This is so cool that we're going to share in this experience together. So honestly, I was feeling super nervous about this because, you know, I'm open and whatever Ariel is going to share, I have no idea. I don't know how personal we're going to get or if I'm going to cry or what, but that's okay with me. I'm totally open to whatever. And I'm totally open to sharing it with you. I was undecided if I was going to leave this as a replay just because I don't know what's going to be on it. But for those of you here live, thank you for being here and sharing this space with us. And yeah, I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm ready. So I will say, just so people understand, like I think a lot of people have seen like, you know, psychics or mediums or whatever, where it's like, you just, you know, start kind of pulling things out of thin air. And there are some times when things will suddenly hit me and I pull them out of thin air. But the way that I find that my work is most powerful is, you know, for me to continue, like to ask you questions and get information and that kind of stuff. So it's not just like me being like, what's with the like yellow blanket, you know, like it's, It's not like that.
Actually, I have seen you do that before, but I know what you mean, that that's not like the regular occurrence.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's not how this works. So I just wanted to like preface that so that it's not just an expectation of what's happening.
Yeah. And I actually really, even just hearing you say that, I really love it because that would happen to me during sessions with my clients where I'd be asking them questions and then I would hear like, say this, ask her this is what's really going on, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, well, is that my intuition or what is that? And this was a lot when I was first getting started with my coaching business. I was wondering where this information was coming from. But I thought, well, I'm not psychic or I'm not intuitive because I can't do that. I can't just sit across from someone and be like, oh, you have this person standing behind you and you're supposed to be doing this. And like, I don't, like you said, sometimes there's flashes, but I can't just call it on command and be like, do like this yellow blanket and this red umbrella. And so I thought, so that's, I don't have those gifts because I can't do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really happy that you clarified that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. And no, not at all. And most of the time, the things that are most intuitive about someone are the things that they're doing so easily that they don't even realize that it's like their own gift or their own intuition. So, yeah. So it doesn't all have to look the same. Like, you know, me not like channeling people who've crossed over on a regular basis, like that doesn't mean that I'm not intuitive or that I don't get medical medium hits or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just about really bringing your own gifts to the surface and knowing that those really are powerful and they're there for a reason and they all work together.
And I love what you said about usually it's subtle or something that you've already been doing and not really realizing. So like that hearing piece, I had never heard of what clairaudience was. And so when that was happening, it was happening again and again and again and again. And at one point, you know, when I had a lot of one-on-one clients at a time, and so I was doing it quite a bit, there were some clients who were like a little bit freaked out. And I was like, and I was a little bit freaked out too. And something sort of led me to, actually it was a voice. It told me, it said clairaudient. And I'm like, what the hell does clairaudient mean? And I Googled it and it tells you all the things like ringing in your ears. You answer a question internally and suddenly you have an answer. And you're kind of like having this internal dialogue, but it sounds like your own voice. And I was like, oh my gosh, doesn't everybody have that? And so it is something that I've just naturally always done or heard, always on the right side, which was another thing. Is like, it feels like it's coming from the right side. I'm like, whoa, that is totally it. And so it was like, it wasn't this big epiphany that suddenly I could, you know, see dead people or something. It was like, oh, I've been doing that all along. And I just thought that everyone did that. Is that what you were meaning? Is like, it can be very subtle. It can just be you realizing that it's been something you've already been doing naturally.
Yeah. You're so much more psychic than you let on in like everyday real life or even right now. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, you know, I hear this voice and it tells me clairaudient. Like what the fuck? Like, clairaudient, like clairaudient, like who hears that in their mind? Like clairaudient.
I thought everybody. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
That's insane. Yeah, that's, I mean, expected, obviously, but it's, not everyone has that, so.
Okay, cool. So do we just start, like, do I ask you a question?
Yeah, let's start. And
okay.
Basically, you ask whatever you want, and if I need more information, then, you know, then I'll ask you. And I will need more information, so I will ask. Yeah, no,
I totally get it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sit and be like, well, shouldn't you know that, Ariel? Okay. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Somehow they ended up in my deleted. Okay.
Oh.
I know. What? So here's what I wanted. Here was my first question.
Yep.
And I kind of alluded to it earlier. Mm-hmm. And so just word for word, and then I'll explain. It says, how can I align with my highest and best path? And when I'm doing that, what am I doing, teaching? What does this look like? So there's been parts in my business, especially earlier on, where I was like, felt so like in alignment, like powerful, like bam, 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 bam. And then I can get derailed. And I don't know if it's like self-doubt is pouring in, or if it's time for me to sort of, move on to the next message or the next teaching. But I'm in kind of that place where, well, I mean, I have an idea, but I want to feel more aligned than I am right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I know what you mean. It's basically like you sort of get into the alignment space, and then it's like you're rocking it out and you feel really aligned. And then all of a sudden there's some kind of hit or something you think is intuitive, and you sort of go in another path, and then you're going down that, and it's more structured path rather than sort of like a flowy sort of like light essence path. It sort of more feels literally like train rails, where it's like kind of. And then there's like the act of sort of like going back up the hill to get to like the flowy space again, right? So that's sort of what you see, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm feeling like the train is totally stopped sometimes, like just like where is that? How do I get back to that feeling of just like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, right here. And when I don't feel that, I almost like just pull out entirely, because I feel like I don't want to move forward misaligned or out of alignment or out of authenticity or out of integrity. So I almost like pull back. Yeah. And then I feel a bit stuck. Yeah,
that's just being like afraid of making a mistake. But what I wrote when you were talking was, it's just your trust in I wrote the stuff, which is like the things that you're doing, because you don't see them as powerful. You just see them as like they are, like, oh, they exist. And what is it? It's almost like if you see them as powerful, then it's almost like shame around like being better than other people, kind of. And so that's why it's like,
oh my God. I totally was like, Jen, bring tissue. And I just totally didn't. Okay. Sorry. Keep going. That was very accurate.
Okay. So trust in your gifts, because if you trust your gifts, then it's like that belief that like if you this is sort of how people talk about it. Like if you shine really bright, then it's like you're better than, and there's like shame in being better than other people. And so I keep circling the worth. It's about her worth, really like knowing the worth of what your gifts do in the world, because what's happening is that you're scared of the responsibility. That's why there's the stop and go. It's like, that it's like, that when you fully say, you already know what you're worth. It's just that when you fully like accept it, then there's responsibility that comes along with it, because you know that it's so powerful. So it's sort of twofold. It's like, on the one hand, if you're really shining really brightly with that, then it's that shame that sort of you feel like is coming along with that belief that if you really own your gifts, then you'll be better than. And then there's the thing where that when you do own your gifts completely and you're trusting in what they are, you're scared of the responsibility that's coming with that, because you know how powerful they are. Like, you actually do know. It's just that you're scared of all of that comes with it, because when you completely own them and you're just saying, okay, this is what it is, here's what I want to do, here's the next step, here's this, here's that, this is what you need to do, then there's responsibility that comes along with that. And there's also a learned fear of being wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely a fear of being wrong and taking responsibility for being wrong. But what do you mean a learned fear? So
yeah. So the learned fear is something that came from your parents of the fear of making the wrong move or making the wrong decision. Did your mom do that like a lot with her business? And / was there any shame from your dad? That was weird. Was there any shame from your dad around potentially making the wrong decision?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My dad carries the weight of making what he feels was a wrong decision, like to this day. And my mom with her business, yeah, she was very successful with her business. She would do different shifts, or incorporate new things, and then and she was cool with that. Like, she was always adding new things or trying new things or whatever. Whereas I was kind of like, oh, I wouldn't be jumping from thing to thing to thing like that, because I felt like it was a bit of a waste of money or time, or, when it didn't work out. But anyway, so what you're saying resonates, definitely.
But I feel like she had to sort of cut him out energetically in order to do the different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Spot on. Perfect sense.
Okay. Yeah. So she had to cut him out energetically in order to take the risks and do the things. And he was kind of always sort of it was unspoken that he wasn't happy about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so if you go and you take the risk of doing this, of really trusting and going a path that, seems like a scary sort of path that has unknowns but really doesn't, then I think there's the fear of that unspoken sort of disappointment from him. Because that's what you saw sort of over and over again.
Disappointment from my dad?
Yeah. That unspoken sort of, disappointment from him toward your mom about taking the risks. Whatever, maybe disappointment's not quite the right word, but whatever that energy was between them when she would go and take the risks and do different things that may not work or that would lose money. I think that's why the halt is coming. That's why when you go to do a new thing, the halt happens, where it's oh God, I can't continue doing that. Even if it is rigid, or, it's that exploratory, creative sense to just kind of go and know you don't have anything to lose isn't happening, because there's that fear from childhood about that disappointment that will occur. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So are you referring, to me, I'm interpreting it as fear around a
disconnect from you and him.
Yeah. Great. I can't even talk.
You're doing so great. You're doing so great.
You're doing so great. So just so you can so you can hear the other side of the story for everyone watching, how this makes sense is, so I have my mom and my dad, and I won't share great details to respect their own privacy, but they parted ways when I was, just under 4, I think. And my dad feels like it's his fault and that he wasn't the person he should have been for her, and he made all these mistakes, and if only he hadn't made all these mistakes, that they would still be together. And that's sort of, you know, sometimes what I feel. Like, I don't know, he hasn't like verbally said that, but I feel like he's got a new life now and everything, and that's awesome, and I'm really happy for him. But sometimes I know that he carries this guilt around what he was like when he was younger, and having regret, but on my mom's side, my mom totally made the right decision when she parted ways with him, and she became an entrepreneur very soon after leaving him. And that's when her and I were living in the basement suite, just the two of us, which I've shared, you know, here and there. But she and I lived in this little old basement suite together, and she started her first business. And she's who I've really looked up to, you know, as an entrepreneur, and creating her own trail and her own path. And she needed to leave his energy, and, you know, that was just not a healthy situation. So she left for herself and started this whole new life and her business and whatever. And, but my dad still carries guilt around that. And I feel, and I've learned this through working with like a life coach and just self-reflection and things, that I put a lot of my dad's happiness on my shoulders. He's never done that, but I do. I put it on myself, which is like, it's why I stayed in my hometown. Like, one of the reasons I stayed in my hometown for a decade longer than I wanted to. Even when I was going to go live in San Diego, I had so much guilt, like so much guilt around it. And then when I was going to buy a new car, so I had on my vision board that I wanted this, you know, white Range Rover, and I wanted it for a couple years. And I went and bought it last August, and I wouldn't even, it took me a week of humming and hawing, and there was no reason. I could afford the payments. You know, everything was green lights to buy this car, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. I couldn't sign on the dotted line. And I didn't know what my problem was. I knew I wanted the car. It was on my vision board. I could afford it. I wanted it. I felt I worked for it. I deserved it. And I could not pull the trigger. And finally, you know, through speaking with a coach, this is why I like talking to someone outside of my own head, I realized I didn't want to pull up into my dad's driveway with a brand new Range Rover, because he loves cars. And he's never had a brand new car in his life, and he's worked so hard. So I felt like an asshole. So when I realized that's what I was doing, I was like, oh, what am I doing to myself? And I went and bought the car. Me and my mom went together and got it. We had to go drive to a bigger city to go buy it. And I loved it. So happy. And I did take it to his house. I was a little bit like hesitant, but he was like, well, that's pretty cool. Like, it's really cool. And then later that same summer, he went and bought his dream car, and it wasn't brand new, because that's not what he doesn't like, buying brand new, but he went and bought the Corvette that he wanted for a really, really long time. And so he was inspired to actually do something nice for himself. And I was like, oh man, why do I do this to myself? And anyway, total tangent, but I just wanted to share, like, that I'm not just saying yes for the sake of saying yes, but everything that you're saying, spot on.
It's not a total tangent. And actually, it's perfect, because what I just wrote down is that you're connecting your success with his unhappiness because of what you saw with your mom. Does that make sense? Yeah? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's happening? That's why. That's the underlying piece of it. Because when I don't need to explain anymore, you get it. But when she got successful, you saw that as him being unhappy.
Yeah.
So that's why there's shame and guilt around your success, which is why you're only, I don't even know what your numbers are right now, but what I want to say is you're only letting yourself get so successful with your gifts because there's shame and guilt around that, because you're like sort of pairing.
Well, that makes total sense. So it's kind of like I was saying, I get on this roll and I'm just like, I feel on fire. I feel aligned. I feel on point. It's like boom, 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 boom. And then halt. And yeah. So it's kind of now I'm seeing that pattern. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally upper limiting myself. It's like, go, 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 stop. Bring yourself back down a couple notches. Okay, go, 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 stop. Okay, bring yourself back down a couple notches.
So,
and yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, like, just from knowing this, that it's like spontaneous, right? So I don't really believe in like, once we bring this stuff up, then we need to like go back and like do a bunch of like work, like whatever. It's like, as soon as like it's known, it's like spontaneous. There's something I heard Christiane Northrup say one time, and it was, once you bring something to the surface, then it can be healed. But I think that it's like spontaneous. And so I feel like now that there's, it's just like bringing things, like an awareness to things, right? And so now that you're aware of, oh, that's the connection and that's why, and that's where the shame is coming from, and that's why I'm halting, then it's like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. I can break the pattern right now. And the intuitive part is that breaking the pattern, it's just a choice, but it's not going to be comfortable, right? Like, you're still going to probably feel some of that like shame and stuff and whatever, but it's just that when you have the idea to go do something, doing it without feeling the shame, like doing it without feeling the guilt, not like allowing yourself to sort of like be confused, because I feel like that's where like the confusion, that's obviously like where the confusion is happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So because that is when I'm feeling like halted. I'm not like conscious, and I'm not conscious saying, oh, stop here. I can't get any more successful than this, or things are starting to take off. I need to like slow it down. It's not that conscious thought, although that probably is what I'm doing. To me, it manifests as confusion and self-doubt and second guessing myself. And, oh, am I actually even making a difference? Am I spreading the right message? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Or am I supposed to be doing this? Or should I be doing that? Or there's already other people, it masks as confusion, and doubt that I'm on the right path.
Yeah. But like what the right path is. You really do already know what the choice is, or like what you want to do. Just that underlying like fear of hurting him or him being unhappy if you continue to be more successful manifests, as you were saying, manifests as the doubt.
Yeah. Like,
you're seeing it as doubt, and maybe on the surface we could say, oh, well, the doubt is, fear of what other people will think, but it's not. It's not really that. Maybe it is that, if you're trying to be nice, or not shine like bright enough, or not, we don't want people to like think that you're better than, but under all of that, it's just about like the relationship with you and your dad.
Wow. That's really huge.
Yeah.
Like I had some idea, like with the car, like I knew it was affecting me in some ways, but I didn't realize, but it totally resonates and it totally makes sense. One thing, when we're on the topic of being like in alignment, one thing that doesn't really sit right with me, and I don't know if it's because like my head has played games with me or what, but like when people ask me what I am or like what I do, I'll usually just spit out the word business coach because I just don't know what else to say. But and I love working with entrepreneurs, and I love helping women or people in general, but I especially connect with women, really uncovering, I want to use the word awakening to their spiritual selves, their spiritual path, their purpose, their intuition, that kind of thing. But I also know that I do love working with entrepreneurs or people who are desiring or on the verge of creating their own trail, like blazing their own trail. And as an entrepreneur, like a personal brand of some kind. And so I just say business coach, but really, like, I'm not passionate about talking about strategy, about webinars or funnels, and I feel like that's what a business coach talks about. So I just don't know what I am, like what to call myself.
Yeah. I think it's just because, like, well, first, I don't really think you need to necessarily have anything to call yourself. Like, it doesn't have to be, you just be like, I'm an entrepreneur. But in terms of like your marketing and branding, you don't necessarily have to call it anything really. But the reason that you're not knowing what to call yourself is just because you're not seeing your gifts as like powerful. You're not seeing them right now as something to utilize to help people like have, huge growth in their business. But if you really just zeroed in on what you do, like the voice that tells you, okay, this is what you need to go do, the voice that tells you what questions to ask, if you really zeroed in on that and you use that and you started bringing that out to the surface with no fear and like really like, here's what I wrote down before this. And I thought it was for me, but maybe it's for you. You have nothing to lose. Dig, truth, be real, always be yourself. And I think if you utilize those pieces of what you already do so well, then you don't really need to put a label on it. Like, because you are coaching people to completely trailblaze with their business, which is such a great term for you specifically, because I feel like you're so just like, that essence that Cameron Diaz has where she's like sexy, smart, like muscular, like toned, like sort of like can do outdoorsy things. Like you have that essence about you. And I love the word trailblazing. That's all. I think that's so great. But yeah, if you really zeroed in on what those are and utilize them, things would completely expand outward instead of feeling like they're contracting at any point with the term business coach. And then you don't even have to talk about the funnel and all that stuff. Because you're just utilizing those pieces, and just to make it clear for everyone, you're just utilizing those particular pieces, like you, Jen, are saying, okay, here's exactly, how my gifts work with people. This is what I'm able to do. And you can go into that if you want to. Like, I have time, like I told you, like, you can do this as long as you want. But you go into those and you figure out, here's exactly what I do with people, utilizing the things that I already do so well intuitively. And then you sort of capitalize on that, for lack of a better word right now. And when you use those, you're able to tell people, this is what you need to do. This is exactly what your block is. This is where you need to go. And it doesn't have anything to do with a funnel or anything. It could be, you need to go, who is that person that you've been rolling around in your mind that you need to go reach out to in order to get that speaking gig that I know that you want. And they're like, oh yeah, there is that one person. Like, it's that kind of stuff, and that creates big results, as opposed to doing funnels or the things that you know how to do, but they're not really part of your gifts. And as opposed to you knowing the answer, because I know you do this, you knowing the answer, but then asking people questions that kind of like go like this to help them get to the answer. It's so much more like powerful and results oriented if you're just telling them, listen, this is what's going
on. Okay. I did need to hear that part, because I feel like I did a lot of and this is totally different because this is unsolicited. This is my sisters and my family, but I feel like I did do a lot of like saying things. I know I can't even compare apples to oranges, but then I felt more like a preacher than, that I was helping. Whereas I felt like if I could bring them to their, like, if they could believe it was their own idea or their own epiphany, then they'd be like, oh, that was my idea. It's a good idea. I'm going to do it, versus me like, blah. But that's totally different. And I'm thinking out loud here. And when you're talking about is with a client who already trusts you and wants to work with you and wants to hear what you have to say, not necessarily be asked, a shit ton of questions.
Well, I think some people go into coaching think that they are going to be asked a bunch of questions, and that works. It's just a slower process if you are knowing exactly what they need already. Like if you already have the hit, okay, this is what they need to go do, and then you ask questions around it to help them get to the answer. That's fine, and the asking questions can be helpful. Like let's say that you're like, hey, this is what you need to go do. And they're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. Then that's where, for me, the questions come in to do digging so that we can figure out why it is that they're not going there.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you saying about gifts? Like, can you tune into, I know we talked about clairaudient, but like, do you know or can you sense who or what I'm connecting with, or how, like, anything around that area?
Like when you're, like, the messages that you get, it's you. So that's why I was kind of talking about in the beginning, like you're a spirit walking around in a human body.
Yeah.
It really is you. Like you're connected to you are like source walking around. And that's what I didn't understand for a long time, is I would separate it and I would be like, okay, so, spirit, please give me this answer. And I would do that. It was, I felt like I couldn't get a clear answer because I was giving the responsibility to some other, like, thing. I was giving the responsibility of the knowing to something else so that I didn't have to take it on, so that, I would still be loved. Like I would still have love, I wouldn't lose anything if I was wrong, because, that fear of being wrong. So, it's you. I mean, you're just allowing the truth to come through from divine infinite wisdom, as opposed to connecting to something else.
Cool. So, okay.
Know everything.
I guess the next question, although there's two I want to ask at the same time, but I'll go with this one. So I have this opportunity to write a book. And it doesn't have to be now or never. Like, it's not a now or never thing, but like in the present moment, there is an opportunity to write a book. And I feel like it's something that self-doing and I want to do. I'm just not certain that it's something I do in this moment. But then I circle around and I'm like, well, is it because I'm afraid and I've like talked myself out of doing it right now, and ego's just like, yeah, do it later. Later is better. Or is it just something that I sense on the horizon and I will get to that point, but it doesn't have to be today?
So what I see is that you're feeling like you need a lot more knowledge in order to be able to write a book that will reach a lot of people and impact a lot of people. But you don't. So I feel like that's why you're postponing it, because you feel like you need a bunch of other stuff in order to write something really substantial. But if you just say, okay, here's what my gifts are, here's what I do, I'm really fucking good at it, and you allow that to come through, you allow the voice that you hear to tell you what to write, and you trust that you're going to be writing what you need to write, then that's where your like angel book blooms. You know, that's where like, you know, people are, your book is in Barnes and Noble and people are stopping you like at your speaking event being like, you know, I didn't even know that you existed. And I walked past this book and it was like light was coming out of it. And I just couldn't help but not, you know, I couldn't help but not buy it. I couldn't help but buy it. Yeah. I couldn't help but pick it up and buy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because that actually reminds me of how I totally fell in love with Wayne Dyer. So like, you know, I was so fortunate I got to see him speak in Vancouver at a Hay House event.
I love that.
My mom took me. It was just amazing. And I loved everything that he was saying. I loved his energy. I was just leaving my 9-to-5 in finance and just about to start my photography business. So I was pretty consumed in my mind at the time. But I loved that experience and whatever. And then dove full into starting my photography business and that's all I thought about or did, lived and breathed that photography business for a while. And it wasn't until I was starting to question doing photography anymore and feeling very like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, this is all I ever wanted was to be a photographer. What is my problem? And I was feeling very lost and having shame around that. And I went to my mom's house and she's got this infrared sauna downstairs. And so I was going to go down the infrared sauna and I forgot something to read. I was sitting there for like 45 minutes, an hour, and I wanted something to read. And so she had this whole bookshelf downstairs, you know, kind of near the infrared sauna, and of her, like, what I feel are like hundreds of books. There was only one, and that's what it was like. It was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, I'll read a chapter of this book. And I just pull it off the shelf and thinking I'm going to read a few pages till my time in the infrared sauna is up. It's the only book I saw out of all of them. And it just kind of like, and it was Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's called Inspiration. I think it's been re-released since as Living an Inspired Life. But I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like every single page. And ever since then, I've always been like Wayne Dyer all day, every day, like just listening to his books and his quotes and just feeling very, very connected to him, even especially after his passing. So when you said that, like, you know, about the book and it just standing out to someone, I totally could see that and resonate with that. And actually that book is the reason that it has inspired me to write a book so that I could give that experience to somebody else as well. Yeah. So that totally hit home. Cool.
Yeah. So just go write it.
There was, so what did you say?
The answer is go write it now.
Okay. Woo! Exciting. Okay.
Because it's not
go ahead.
Going to be another book after that.
Say that again.
It's not like there's not going to be another book after that.
You're right. It's not like it has to be the one and I have to cram everything into this one. Yeah, I felt that too.
There's going to be a lot more books after that, so start now and don't postpone, those 10 books. Okay.
Woo. Okay. Oh, I did want to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Trusting in building trust with your intuition, or me building trust with my intuition. Sometimes I'll like just test it. Like if we're watching TV or doing something and I'll be like, what do I think the answer is? Or what do I feel or whatever? And sometimes I'm just totally wrong. And then I think, well, then what the hell? Like who am I then with a paying client or someone's life decisions to say you should do this or you should do that if I'm on 100% of the time? So how can I build up that, like you just have, Ariel, such authority and such trust and power of knowing, whereas I still feel like I don't trust yet. I don't trust what I hear all the time, or I don't trust that it's my head and not or my intuition. And so how could I build that up?
Yeah. So like with the thing with the like television or watching, when you're testing it, your focus is on basically you're testing it. You don't actually think that it's valid.
Oh, yeah.
So when your focus is on not actually thinking that it's valid, of course it's going to be off.
Yep.
There's not a mistake that you can make. You're literally source walking around in a human body, like, and you just go and say what you want to say, and there's no filter, then it is accurate.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, if you're testing it, that's coming from doubt, right? Like, that's like those people who do go to for a psychic reading, and they're like, I'm not going to say anything. You should just know that, like, yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. So, because I can tell the difference of when I'm testing it, which means I'm inflicting doubt, versus when I'm on the call with, whether it's in my group program or one-on-one, I can feel it. I can feel like what's coming out of me is not like from my head. It feels like it's coming like this, and I do actually speak a lot more firmly, and I almost need to like pace around the room. So it definitely is different, and but that was bothering me. I'm like, well, how come when I'm testing it, it's not always right? But yeah, that makes perfect sense, because I'm coming from a place of doubt. And so, of course, it wouldn't work properly.
Yeah, and like the people who go to like a psychic or a medium or whatever, and they go in and they're like, well, like, you should know what to tell me. And they're kind of like, it's because they're afraid of hearing what's actually going to be said. So I would just check for you and see, okay, are you actually afraid of hearing? And if we are looking back at everything that we talked about, then there's probably some fear around actually hearing what your intuition is going to tell you to do, because it's probably going to be scary, and then there might be shame around that, and then blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Your face.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything that, this is a bit more open-ended, and I can go into a bit more explanation too, if that helps, but is there anything, Ariel, that you feel that I need to know or to hear? Yeah.
Haven't you heard enough? No, I'm just kidding. I think it really just comes down to trusting yourself completely. And that's a message for everybody, but there's you trusting yourself completely, associating your success with other people's love and other people's happiness. And then I would go and really get clear on how your information comes to you, so that you really start trusting it more and have more confidence in it, because you know how it works.
So engaging with it more?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes, obviously. I want you to be engaging with it like all the time, use it with every single thing. Don't have the filter. Don't, worry about being right or wrong, or is it spirit or not spirit. Just using it and going with it and saying what it is. But really like sort of analyzing what, how your information is coming to you. Like you already know, I know that you already know what your gifts are. You get it. You understand how you work with clients. I mean, there could be more awareness brought to that, but for you, I think it's about understanding how your information comes in. Because when you understand really how your information comes in, for you, you'll be more confident about using it if you understand how it works. And then once you're more confident about using it, then you've got that authority where you're like, yes, this is what I do.
Yeah. And does that come through just practicing it?
I mean, I would do like a process with you where we would sort of like look at, I mean, we could do it now if you want, but basically I would sort of like go through more in depth with you. Okay. You know, how does all of your information come in? We look at your, like, you know, we look at specific clients and specific things you've told them to do, and how does that information come in, and going like deeper with that, and just like going through the layers of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So for yourself right now, I would just, I would go back to a client who had like really incredible success and really start dissecting the experience that you had with them and what it was that you told them to do and where that information came from and how you received it.
Okay. I feel like, do you ever receive information differently for different people?
Yes and no. Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, yes and no. So like the chick that was here today, one of my girlfriends, I was texting her one time and all of a sudden I heard in my mind, your mom's going to be okay. So I said, hey, just want to let you know your mom's going to be okay. Next day, she's like, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Next day, she texts me. She's like, oh my God, you know how you said that yesterday? Like, my mom lost all sight in her right eye.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit. Okay. Well, let me tune in and see if I can figure out what's going on. So with that, it was, I heard it first, and then it was a medical medium thing. And this stuff doesn't always happen, like, you know, but I was like, let me tune in and see if I can see what's going on. And basically what I saw, it almost looks sort of like medical sort of like imagery where it's like not real, but it's sort of like someone like drew a picture of it. That's how I see it in my mind. And so I saw an eyeball, and then I like felt like I saw, like it was like a movie, like taken to the back of the eye, and then in the back of the eye, I saw there was an artery, or like I just saw it as like a bloodline. That's sort of what I saw in my head, a bloodline. And there was a blockage there. So I told her, I said, this is exactly what I'm seeing. It looks like there's a block back there. And so I started looking it up, and I was like, what is it when you have an artery that's blocked in the back of your eye? Like, what does that mean? What does that do? And it creates eye loss, or, you know, vision loss, vision loss. You know, it's like reversible and things like that, but it turned out that that's exactly what it was. And, you know, how the hell could I have known that? Right. And so that's a way that information comes that way. But then with like clients, a lot of times what I'll see, it's different than that. So like when I'm talking to you, I have, you know, all this stuff written out. Like as you're talking, I hear certain pieces of information that I write down, and then I'll get a larger picture of what that looks like, where I see it in its form and how it's connected.
Wow.
So like I wrote down at the beginning, or no, like this, I heard your success with his happiness, connected with his happiness, and then there's a down arrow to mom, and then mom is circled. So I heard that, and immediately after I heard it, I saw the image of like essentially like, it's weird because like I see the image and I know what it is, and then I have to put it into words.
Yeah.
I saw the image of like mom sort of like being successful, and then sort of like a blockade, and then like dad. I don't even know how to explain it, but
yeah,
I see an image essentially, and then I put it into words for the client.
Wow. There's a question that I feel like I want to ask. Oh, that's so funny. 111:22 when I just look at my little clock here.
I love
it. So I feel like this question is for me, but I also feel like it's for everyone watching.
Yeah.
What is the best thing that you can do if and when you find yourself in that space of doubt and confusion and like, oh, is this the right decision? Oh, I don't know. And now I've overthought it. And now I just don't know what is my head and what is my heart. And oh, I'm just feeling so confused. What's the best thing you can do if you get into that space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing is go back to like what you do. So like I would say go back to your gifts. But if you're not entirely clear on what your gifts are and how they work and all that stuff, which is what I'm doing with people, plug. If you're not entirely sure on what that looks like, what I would do is go back to when you worked with someone, or if you're not working with anyone. Yeah, I know some of your people are brand new and they're wanting to blaze the trail. I love that term. It's so great. Go back to somebody who you helped, where there was something where you really helped them so much, or you really helped a client so much, you felt like, wow, that was a huge breakthrough. And go look at that and sort of dissect that for yourself, and look at those pieces, because it probably felt really easy. It probably felt like there was a lot of flow in it. And when you look at that, you'll start to really see how powerful you are just by like completely just being you. And bringing an awareness to, what's so amazing about you. And from there, I feel like a lot of clarity happens because you have that confidence. It gets you into a different state. It brings you out of the state of, oh my gosh, I'm so confused and I don't know what decision to make because I'm afraid of X, Y, and Z, to wow, look how powerful I really am, and gets your mind focused on something else so that you don't have the fear, so that you can clearly start hearing more information.
Wow. Right. Because the fear is like it like clenches the flow of receiving that information or that guidance or that clarity.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I see it, is that on the right side, all of your intuition comes in. So funny that you hear that on the right side, right? That's how I see it, is all the intuition comes in on the right side. All the fear comes in on the left side. I mean, it's not necessarily true, but that's kind of how I see it, right? Maybe this all the intuition's here, the fear comes here, and then in the center, you have a combo. So if you're letting any fear come in, then the message is going to be a bit off. Or if you're letting fear come in, then maybe you see something, but then the words that you say are not quite the same as, they're not the same, but they're not the same as what the image was. There's some kind of disconnect because you're letting the fear come in. It's a completely different message than just allowing the fear to be there or just allowing the intuition to be there.
Wow. So can you tell us, because in your group, you're doing these really powerful lives and you're sharing really helpful information, and all of it has been really helpful for me, and I've just found it really resonated. It was super powerful, super helpful and transformative. So, and one of the ones that I actually really loved recently, I think you just did the other day, was the number one fear of spiritual entrepreneurs or intuitive entrepreneurs, and I was just such an eye-opener. So for anyone that's in this group and watching and would love to learn more about you or watch some of your lives, or where's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, I would say the very best place is to well, the first thing I thought was get into my spiritual entrepreneurs group. I was going to say go and follow my business page, but I don't think that they would get like the announcements or whatever as much. So I would go into the spiritual entrepreneurs group. get in there, and that way you'll be able to see like the channeled messages and the lives, and there's lives that sometimes I do specifically for that group. So, but if I do a live and it's on my regular business page, then sometimes I share it in as well.
Okay. So it's spiritual entrepreneurs. There's more to it though. Spiritual entrepreneurs,
channels and mediums.
Channels and mediums. Yeah, it's an awesome group. I think you just recently started it. I love what you've been sharing in that group. I would say if anyone's interested to go to the group versus the business, well, both, I guess. Both, because as long as they turn on the notifications of the business page, but definitely join the group because it is powerful. The stuff that you're sharing in there, Ariel, is amazing. And you love what you touched on it a second ago, but you love helping connect women to their gifts, whether, you know, especially ones who kind of maybe know of intuition that they've tapped into, but they want to learn more about it, or they want to be more trusting of it, become more powerfully aligned with it, serve with it. Is that right?
Yeah. It's basically, that's a great way to put it. It's basically like, you know, a lot of times there are business coaches who kind of are sort of, they are very, very intuitive, but they're sort of hiding behind the business. And there's also, you know, spiritual entrepreneurs who are people that are actively already doing it, who are not making any money. And a lot of what it comes down to is not fully understanding how their gifts work, like what their gifts are, how they work, how their gifts actually work together. That's a big piece as well, because a lot of people will have things like, you know, maybe they can speak to people who've crossed over, or maybe they, you know, there's just a bunch of different pieces. And everybody's stuff is different. So, you know, maybe it's a health coach who's very good at knowing exactly what tools to use with people, you know, and that's a gift. So knowing how they all fit together, and then knowing how they work with clients specifically. And when you understand those pieces, then, you know, it takes away the need for things like ads or funnels or whatever, because your message, I mean, there's a marketing piece and a sales piece to it too, which we work on, but your message is so powerful and so potent because it is coming directly from your intuition, from your source, which I know you definitely experienced with your marketing, that it pierces through the noise. Does that make sense? Right.
Totally.
Yeah. And it pierces through the noise, not to everyone, but it pierces through the noise directly to the soul of your soul clients. They, you know, they need to hear specific messages, and you're there to give them in that, you know, exact moment when you do this. So there's a bunch of different parts to it. But yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm so grateful, Ariel, like that you took this time. You have a 6-week beautiful baby girl. Is she on your lap, or is she still?
No, she's sleeping, but I'll get her up. She's sort of like getting restless. She's so
you don't have to wake her up.
Yes, she has a watermelon dress.
Oh, hi, Frances. Oh, I feel like she's always waving. She's got her hand up. Oh, what a little cutie. Oh, she was so good for us.
Remember how,
Ariel, what was that?
Remember how angry and scared I was? I was like, I don't want to have this family.
You did not literally say that. But yeah, you were a bit nervous for sure.
Oh my God.
Scared of the unknown.
But yeah, she's like the best.
Aww. And it's just so cool watching you. Like, I know there's a lot of women out there who have children or are pregnant, and they're like, oh, maybe I can't follow my dreams, or oh, my life is over. And it's just so cool that you, I feel like, have taken off since you become pregnant and had Frances. It's been like all this power is coming right through you, and it's been really awesome and inspiring to see.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, I mean, it's so much different. I feel like something happened to me anyway. Yep, she is straight from the other side. Eva said she's straight from the other side. Something definitely happened to me when I had her, where all of a sudden it became really, really clear. Like, you know, I was just no longer willing to do anything that I didn't really desire and require, you know? And
Wow.
not in a bitchy way, but in a very, like you said, like very, straightforward, authoritative way. And I almost said, a calm way as well. I mean, there's definitely been moments of like, but really in an authoritative and like calm way. This is what I desire, and this is what I require, and and it's everything becomes so much more simple and straightforward.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a quick peek at the comments here. I don't know if anyone has questions, but I'm just gonna have a quick peek because I've been so enthralled. I haven't been really keeping track. Oh, everyone said hi! Yay!
Hey.
Amber's here. Amber was our guest last week. Amber of the West Coast Medium says hi. That's so cool.
Oh, that's right. I saw that come up. So I can't see them like on my end when I'm looking. I can only see like 4 comments, so I'll have to go back through the comments in a minute and look at all of them. But I think you can see all of them.
So I don't know. Are you okay for a couple questions, or how are you doing?
I told Jen earlier, like you're fine. This is like the only thing I had to do today. Like this was like what my day was about. I was meeting with my girlfriend. We had a cleaning lady coming over, and that was it.
That's another message you've been really sharing that I love, is like that you don't have to work 80 to 100-hour weeks to be successful and happy, and really, I think it was just yesterday you said, and some people who claim to be really, really happy are actually just working 80 to 100-hour weeks, and they're a slave to their business, which is not what I want for myself, and I don't want for my clients either. If that's not what they had in mind for freedom, I know I didn't.
Yeah, and I've done that. I've totally done that.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just not the way to go. I mean, it's a certain, like, I started using this word, which sort of still feels a little weird to me. Thanks, Giselle. She says that's cute. But I started using the word paradigm, and it's like sort of like an old paradigm way of doing things, and sort of like it's sort of like a fear of like really letting go. And not letting go to delegating, but like letting go to what you're divinely, meant to do. Especially for the people who are like, I know I'm a spiritual entrepreneur. You really don't have to work 80 to 100 hours a week at all. And I started saying, like, people who are telling you like, I love my work so much that I just work all the time. They're kidding you. They're really kidding themselves. And really not tricking themselves into thinking it, but like telling themselves that so that they feel good about doing the work. And because frankly, I was just talking about with someone this morning, you have to go back into your life to gather up and create growth from your life to bring back into your work. That's
totally
flows. And I think when you're working all the time, and pushing or whatever, you have to step away, because otherwise the intuition and the truth doesn't flow in. You've got to have some other pieces that allow you to, be spontaneous and creative and all those things in your business.
It's almost like your own cup just starts to deplete, because all you're doing is work, and give, and lead, and you it's just like that sand, just like boom, just through the hourglass, just gone, and then what's left? And then you feel like there's that time I felt like I was a slave to my own business, and I thought, didn't I create this for freedom? So yeah, that was my eye opener.
Exactly. I decided like I was never going to do another, like, I don't care how much money it is. It was like 70 grand was what I did with my launch, and that's been over a year ago. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like I'm never going to be burnt out again, ever. And I'm never going to like, basically, I'm like always going to trust myself. I'm never going to look to someone else and think they're like the pinnacle of whatever and think that they have like all of the answers for me. I'm going to trust myself, right?
Cool.
Myself to take make the different, decisions and actions and all that.
And so where does it have working with a coach fit in with trusting yourself and your own inner guidances?
Yeah. So I have a coach, and it's about trusting them. Like, my coach is intuitive as well. So it's about trusting them, that they know what I need, and that I can't see. So
Yeah.
she's actually, you know, in a different space than I am. And so she can see, okay, here's the tool that you need right now, and here's what you need to go do in order to shift yourself to a different space, in order to get yourself out of this paradigm, in order to whatever. And so I think that, you know, with spiritual entrepreneurs, that's what you need. It's somebody who can see, and that's what I do for my people in my own specific way. You know, it's like somebody who can see the higher vision or the different paradigm, or know how to get you out of that space by giving you specific actions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's exactly how I would share it. Is I love working with a coach. I love working with a mentor. I love working with someone like you, Ariel, even on this session, because I do have my own blind spots, and I do have old paradigms and stories that I'm living in that just keep playing on repeat, and I can't seem to find my way out, probably because I don't even realize that they're there. I haven't been able to shine the light on them. I can't see them. They're so buried that my own intuition can't even tell me or point them out to me. So I can work with someone like you who can shine a light on these things, and then I can feel it in my bones if what you're saying is true or not. Like, if you say this, that, I know, like, I'm trusting myself and my feeling what you're saying is right. But, you know, if you were saying something that was totally, you know, if you say, so you're working with a coach and they say, you know, I feel like blah, 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 blah. Like, I told Ariel in her group, I said, well, I once had someone who told me that I should be doing more webinars and I should be posting in groups and free this and that. And I'm like, to me, it was not like, I kind of had my intuition say, no, don't. And it wasn't like I was afraid. I wasn't afraid to do those things. It just felt like blah, like, no, like, not cool. And so I had a lot of success working with that coach. I've had breakthroughs working with Ariel in the past hour. But it all boils down to, you know, for me, I go inside and like, does this resonate with me? Oh my gosh, holy shit, I really needed to hear that. Oh my gosh, she's so right. Oh my gosh, why was I doing that to myself? And so I can move forward, but blind spots and those old paradigms, and having someone outside of your own head who can say, hey, it's that perspective of, like, how I explain it is, if you hold your hand, if you tried to hold something too close up to your face, you can't even see it anymore. Like, if you wrote a tiny little word on a piece of paper and went like this, you can't even see it. It's so close to you. You're in it. But someone standing outside of you would say, hey, Jen, like, holy crap, can you see this would really serve you? You should give this a try, or this is what you need to do. And that is super, super, for me, has been super powerful in my life, in accelerating me being on my path and creating the life that I want to create and becoming the person I want to become. And there's things that I just could not see on my own. But at the end of the day, I'm feeling into what that person is saying to me, and does it resonate or not? Like, does my intuition say, yes, you needed to hear that, or no, that's not for you? That's kind of how my experience. I don't know if that is.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I want to bring up around all of that is there's two pieces. One is to choose a mentor who's connected to themselves and really doing what they're meant to be doing, because that was my mistake in the past. Not mistakes, can't make mistakes. That was my learning curve in the past.
Yeah.
Working with somebody who really was not doing what they were meant to be doing, and they were not being in integrity with themselves, and I didn't see that. at the time, because I wasn't completely speaking my truth. I didn't trust myself. So I think that's one part, is choosing a mentor who is in integrity and who is connected to exactly what they're meant to be doing. And then secondly, it's, what the hell was I just going to say? Secondly, a lot of times people think that their intuition is always going to feel good. That an intuitive hit from someone else or from themselves is always going to feel good when they take action on it, and it's not. It's really not. And I didn't know that before. I always thought that as well. And my girlfriend today said it in the perfect way. She was like, no, intuition, is, really confronting, basically. And it's not always going to feel good. And so I think that that's a huge misconception, is that it's something that someone may give you to go do, that that a lot of times, if it feels, well, a lot of times it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel uncomfortable because there's so much fear around actually doing it, because it's what will get you the result, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does make sense. But I still, I want to connect this dot.
Mm-hmm. It will have a yes about it. It will have
so it doesn't feel comfortable, but there is a yes somewhere where you're like, but I know that is something that I have to do, or that is something that I have to face. But you can also get for me, I can get a no where I'm like, no, that's not in alignment for me. That's not so it's not like I'm not trying to excuse my way out of doing webinars or posting in free groups all the time. I just knew for me that this wasn't for me, that I was afraid to do, or that I was trying to avoid. It just wasn't for me, and it ended up not being for me. I didn't need to do those things in order to grow my business. But working with a coach, and I remember the first time I hired a business coach, I invested 25 grand US, and I'm Canadian, so that was over 30 grand. And it was terrifying. It was just like, what the hell are you doing? I went into debt, maxed out credit cards, borrowed more money. And I come from a finance background, so that was mind blowing that I would even fathom doing that. And I was shaky, but something was like, yes, do it anyway. So it was not comfortable. It was terrifying, but there was a yes. There was but you got to do this. There was a yes. Or leaving my 9 to 5 did not feel good. I lost sleep at night. My ego was telling me that I was not make my mortgage payments, and I was going to end up homeless. It did not feel good. It was terrifying, but there was a yes. There was a yes attached somewhere deeper than the fear. It was kind of like fear, but yes, you got to do it. Whereas sometimes I'll feel someone will, you got it, you should do this. And I'll be like, no, it's just deadpan. I'm not afraid. I just know. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And the difference there is having a mentor who is totally, completely in integrity.
Yes, that is the difference. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not saying that it's, what?
Oh no, keep going.
It's not saying that anyone who's, doing funnels or whatever is necessarily wrong. It's just that I think for people who are, it's just, you need to find somebody who's totally in integrity with what they're doing, and they are utilizing their gift, especially as somebody who's attracted to you or attracted to me, who is spiritual, who is intuitive, who does know, I know things before people tell me, especially those people need to be finding somebody who is utilizing their gifts and is in integrity with, what they're doing. And it's not just, regurgitating, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Because that is where you end up sort of dead-ended, because there's kind of like a shooting arrows in the dark, because the mentor is not wanting to take responsibility for the result, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So Tammy says, I'm trying to change my vibration to much more positive. How do I know when I have achieved this? I'm trying to learn to manifest the things I want rather than push them away. How do I do this?
Yeah. Oh, I felt like there's something in my eye. So, Jen, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this, but what I'm sensing, gosh, it's like a big hair or something. There it is. It's a dog hair. What I'm sensing is that, oh, you put it up.
Ta-da!
Yeah. So your focus right now, Tammy, is on things that sort of make you feel like a victim. Now, that might be more weighted than you were hoping for, or than, is real, but that's where the focus is right now, on anything that makes you feel sort of like a victim. And how do you know when you've achieved this? What I would do is shift your focus, like all the time. Shift your focus onto what you desire all the time. Because there's really no like time or space. That's what I'm really stepping into, and there really is no time or space. And so there's not like a long process that you need to take in order to change your vibration. It just is an instant shift of focus. So you can do it right now. You just need to focus on the other thing. Stop focusing on trying to change your vibration, and just literally do it by shifting the focus right now to what you want. And then you're trying to learn to manifest the things that you want rather than pushing them away. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing that I'm talking about. It's the same energy.
Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want.
Yeah, that's the simple version of it. Yeah, totally. It's not the simple version. It's the more, it's like the one.
Like, so I remember I was on the phone. I had this healing done, and it was distance healing. And then I went on the phone to talk to the woman after. Her name was Sue, Susie, and she started explaining to me about a little, like, we got onto this topic, and I was like, man, you're really, really good at describing that. And she's like, oh, well, I was a teacher for 30 years or something. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And, I've heard this before, and it's something that I've really, studied and practiced in my life about, manifesting, law of attraction and things like this. And one thing that she said that really, I felt cleared things up for me was that the universe doesn't understand our words. It doesn't speak our language. So we can't say, I wish I had more money, but we're feeling broke all the time. And we're kind of like looking at how we're broke. We're like, oh, another bill, oh, I hate being broke, da, 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 da. But when I'm conscious, I'm thinking, oh, I wish I had more money. Or even I wish I had more money even also sounds kind of needy and desperate. And so the universe understands your vibration, not your words, not your wishful thinking, not the conscious, like, oh, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, but what are you vibrating at? So when you do choose your thoughts, instead of it being like, I wish I had this, or, oh, when I have more clients, I'll be happier, or whatever it is, this is where gratitude can become so powerful, right? And I remember Marie Forleo saying, oh, every time I even see a penny, I pick it up and I say, thank you to the universe. Or if I go to the grocery till and, and then I got $4 off of my bread or something, I'm so thankful. And because then you're putting that into your energy. You're putting your focus and your attention and your energy on what you do have that you're grateful for. And the universe, who loves you unconditionally, is like, oh my gosh, let's give her more of what she's emanating, more of what her energy is. That must be what she wants. Otherwise, why would she put it in her energy? That the universe knows that we choose our thoughts, that we are always in command of our thoughts. Even if most of us live, a lot of our days or time with just allowing our thoughts to be on autopilot, if you can choose to change your thoughts at any given moment. And when you focus your thoughts on what you do want or love or gratitude or what does bring you joy and doing those things and being playful, and you start emanating that, then the universe is like, let's bring her more of that because she chose that. She has the power to choose her thoughts, which vibrate out into her energy. Let's give her more of that. So when you're thinking like, oh gosh, another bill, and not saying you do this, I'm just saying, this is like an example that Susie gave me when, oh, another bill, oh, didn't get the clients I wanted this month, or didn't, oh. And so now you're kind of emanating this like, woe is me, I never have enough, scarcity energy. The universe, again, doesn't understand your words, it understands your vibration. And if you're vibrating at lack and scarcity and wishing you had more, the universe, who loves you unconditionally, is going to give you more of that. So it doesn't discern what you want or don't want, or what is good for you or isn't good for you. It speaks your vibrational energy, and that's what it will bring more of into your life. So like Ariel was saying, it has to be things that you do want, energy that you want to attract more of, things that you are grateful for, so that even if you have them in small doses, the universe is going to want to give them to you in bigger doses, and not on the, I don't have this, I wish I had that, I never have enough of this, I can't afford that, because then you're just going to get more of that. So yeah, focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want is like the sentence, but I just loved that explanation from Susie and from Ariel as well. I hope that helps. How's that? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Talia, oh, sorry. Were you going to add on?
No.
Okay. I want to put Talia up here. So Talia says, how do I increase my connection with universal energy? I feel so connected when I see heart signs, ones in sequence. I want to feel aligned all the time. How do I increase my connection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start trusting that it exists all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that word trust. I say it all the time because the signs are so nice to Leah, and I love them too, and I've been getting them today, and I feel like that was just like extra encouragement that what we were doing was good, because I was feeling a bit nervous. But I think relying on them all the time is sort of living in that, how I was doing when I was testing my intuition, and Ariel's like, well, that you're doubting it, right? And so how can something work when you're expelling doubt into it? And so if you're constantly like, and I don't know if I'm reading that correctly, but if you're looking for more signs more of the time, then that's meaning maybe there is a lack of trust. So I love that word that Ariel said, just trusting that you are connected. It's impossible not to be connected. I want to feel connected all the time. I would say, yeah, Ariel nailed it. Trust. Okay. Thank you, Kate. Kate says, Jennifer, your vulnerability right now is so inspiring. Peggy, yeah. Wow, you're both amazing. Thanks, Jen, for being so open, real, and vulnerable. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, Peggy, that's really nice. So Peggy says, and maybe this is when we were talking about titles. She says, in my opinion, you're a goddess that helps entrepreneurs connect their entrepreneurial skills with their spirituality so they live in their truth. Wow. Peggy, that's really cool that you say that, because I have my diffuser. I want to show you my room. I've got like my Himalayan salt lamp over here, and I've got my mist essential oil diffuser going on over here, and the essential oil is called Goddess that I have
that's perfect.
Going right now. Yeah. Oh, Nikki noticed my selenite. That's funny. Okay. Shoot. Portia writes, can you post the link for that? And then, oh, you did. Okay, good. You saw that already. Thank you for doing that. So we've got the link for Ariel's group up. Oh, Christy Westerfield. Love Christy. She does legal help for online entrepreneurs. She's amazing. She's been a guest in my group program. She's about to give birth pretty quick. And she says, yes, making us pregos feel so empowered and excited.
if she's on. I don't know. Is this her second baby?
I actually don't know. I thought it was her first, but I could be wrong. I don't know if she's still on.
Okay. Well, if she's on, I don't know why I said that exactly, but if she's still on, then birth is like the coolest thing ever. It's so awesome.
I saw you write about that, and I was like, thank goodness that you shared about how empowered you feel after, and you're just like, man, I can do anything now. And I thought that is such a better way to look at it, because all I ever hear are horror stories, and it's really terrifying. So it's just so nice for someone I'm like, yeah, you must feel pretty badass after you give birth to a baby, like pretty strong and pretty powerful that you can do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really cool. Like, everybody kept walking into the room. Well, first of all, like, you suddenly, like, just become, like, fine with, like, well, I did anyway, fine with, like, just everybody sort of, like, seeing your whole body. Like, there becomes no body shame, which is, like, amazing. And it's not, like, a negative thing. It's not like, well, you better get used to, like, you know, not being, whatever that word is I'm thinking of, not humble, but, I don't know what the word is I'm thinking of, but you better, you know, it's not like that. It's like, suddenly you become just, like, totally enthralled with your body, and, like, just, like, this is the coolest thing I've ever had, and, like, just so, you know, grateful for it. And it's, like, it's just a very empowering, very cool experience. I think there are horror stories that come along, because some people don't have access to, like, a great place like I was able to be at, which was, a midwife group in a hospital. Which is unfortunate, but I also think, you know, it's about trusting yourself, you know, and what you really want to do, and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I wasn't going to get an epidural. I was going to do totally natural. And then, like, after 12 hours, I mean, it was painful, but nothing to be scary about. Like, I would totally do it again. But after 12 hours of contractions, I was like, yeah, I'm ready for an epidural now, you know, and, you know, trusting to do that. But it was so cool. I know you guys aren't asking for this, but I got to, like, see her coming out, and, like, she was still in the sack, which was really cool, and, like, touch her, and, like, it was really, really freaking cool, the whole thing. So.
Wow. I love hearing that side of things. It's really refreshing.
Yeah, no, it really is. You think that it's all perspective. It really is.
So Christy's on and she's listening. That's so cool, and it is her first baby.
Yay! Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And Nikki says when you were just speaking.
Sorry.
She says when you were just speaking.
My birth as you're talking out loud, so just keep going and I'll stop talking.
I know. I'm sorry. I feel like there's a delay, so now I'm like, oh shoot, I'm interrupting because I didn't realize there's a delay. Nikki says when you were just speaking, your energy was palpable on film. You can visibly see it. Whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah, you can. It's actually, it's like you can see it around your head. I can actually.
Oh, you can see mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about you.
No, I don't think so.
It looks like I can't see it.
Yeah, I can see yours.
Does it just look like like a white, or what does it look like?
For me, it looks sort of like white around your head, but then your angel wings are flaring out too.
Can you see that?
Kind of. It looks like light for me. It doesn't look like a physical wing. It sort of just looks like light.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Okay, I think those were all of our questions, because we didn't really say we were going to answer questions, so there's not too many in here, but I think those two that we had were really, really awesome. So Ariel, I just am so grateful for you, and you have a 6-week-old baby at home, and you were just so game to jump on here and do a live session with me. So I just have so much gratitude and so much love for you. And if anyone would like to connect with Ariel, please join her group, because she's doing kick-ass, amazing things in her group. She's sharing so much amazing tools and just like really, again, like they're just that sharp, straightforward. You said straightforward, like that's what it is. It's very straightforward, very powerful, very poignant information and tidbits and love and lives in there. So please join her group. Thank you so much, Ariel. I'm so grateful.
Thanks, Jen. I love having me on.
Yay.
I'm glad that you asked me to do this. Terrifying on my end as well, but really, really good. So thank you.
Yeah, that was totally amazing. And you know, we got right to the thick of things right away, which was like, that's another thing too. I thought if you got intuitive hits, this was like early on. Early on, I'll share this experience because this is what I thought that intuition was like. This is like 2011 or something. I was driving down the road. I'll be super fast. I was driving down the road, and I was in a 2-seater car, and I didn't put my seatbelt on because I was like doing just a quick drive down the road to get something and turn around and come back. And I was in like my sweatpants and a sweater, and I was just kind of ripping down the road and back to my house. And this was probably one of the loudest, other than I did hear my uncle one time right after he passed, but this was like the loudest like inner thing that I ever heard. And it was like, put your seatbelt on. And I was like, what? And I'm like, no, kept driving. I like didn't even believe what I was hearing. And it was like, put your seatbelt on. I'm like, what's going on here? And then finally it was like, put your seatbelt on. And I was like, I put my seatbelt on. I'm like, am I about to be in an accident? And I didn't know what was going on. Like, I didn't know what was happening or why I was having this very, very strong urge. And I was like, that was so weird. And I went home and I was talking to my aunt, and you know, she's into the spiritual things. And I said, why would my intuition be so loud just to save me from a ticket, like a seatbelt ticket? And she said, well, you never know, Jen. You never know if like you would have scrambled to put your seatbelt on and like pulled over like all nervously and caused an accident or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's true. But what I've learned since then is if I'm paying attention, I'm being guided every moment of every day, from like what shoes to wear to, you know, how to do different things for whatever reason. And even coming into this room, I remember hearing like, bring some tissue. And so they're not, when you hear this intuition, it's not all these life altering, like it's going to save you from this big, horrible thing happening. It's like all the time, little guidances. And it's not the end of the world if you don't listen.
Yeah.
Because, you know, life could be a little more comfortable if you did. Would have been a lot more comfortable if I had tissue during our session together, or, you know, if I had worn the rain boots on the sunny day when, you know, they told me to wear rain boots. But so, you know, if you pay attention, you are being guided, I feel, all the time. And it's not necessarily for some big, you know, going to save you from this horrible accident type of things, but even just things to make your life more comfortable and more joyful. So yeah, that was funny.
I'm sorry that she's crying the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I don't even know why. I don't even know where that came from. So anyway, thank you so much, Ariel. So appreciative of you. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you. And I'm sure I'll be connecting with a lot of the ladies here in your group. Excited to see you there.
I love it. Thanks again, Jen.
Cool. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.